In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord, we ask your blessings to be upon us tonight. To help us to listen and to hear the words and the stories that will be told. May the words that we hear make a difference within our hearts, realizing that we are all on a journey, and that our journeys will take us to different places. But we have to always realize that the one place that we feel that love and we feel that warmth is within your heart.
First, I'd like to introduce a former student at our school, somebody I got reacquainted with just a few weeks ago. I had heard that he had a rough time and that he went down a path that was not the best. But like in the story of the prodigal son, he came back and he found his way. And he's here tonight to help you who are sitting out here, especially the young folks, to help you through faith not to follow in his path when he was young.
You know, I want to thank everybody who's came here tonight. It means a lot to me personally. I especially want to thank Ms. Mayor Fredonia and the staff of East Boston Central Catholic. One of the main problems we're having is people thinking that it can't happen to them. It's not going to happen to their child. It's not going to happen to my family. My mission is to let everyone know that if we don't take steps necessary to stop this cycle, to really make an impact in these kids' lives, then it's going to happen to them just like it happened to my generation. I want to stress the fact that we do have an epidemic in this country. More needs to be done about it. I could even go and say Miss Whitney Houston, who we recently just lost, and Michael Jackson, and the list goes on and on. Addiction doesn't take the shitbags, excuse my language. It takes the most talented, caring, strong people this world has to offer. And if people like me don't step up and do this, it's only going to get worse. We're swarmed with pharmaceutical companies and those drugs flooding our streets.
Good evening. My name is Charles Rosa. Mike, thanks for reading that. I live up in Seabrook, New Hampshire now. I'm a father of 6 children. I train mixed martial arts. I like to garden. I like to cook. I love the ocean. But the reason I am here tonight is I said I had 6 children. I only have 4 children now here on earth. My other boys are in heaven. I lost Dominic and Vincent due to accidental drug overdoses. Dominic died of a heroin overdose, and Vincent died of using a fentanyl patch, and it was the first time he had tried it. And the message there is, people think, well, the kids are going to experiment, and sometimes even parents give kids the green light to, I wouldn't say a green light, but they accept the fact that they're going to try it. And the drugs out there right now are lethal. Like I said, my son Vincent died the first time he tried the fentanyl. But anyway, the way this is going to go, again, thanks for having me, and thanks for coming. But the way it's going to go, what my part is Mr. Mike Tanner is going to read it's about a 4 or 5 minute, it's an article, and it kind of gives you an overview of who I am and how my family has dealt with the problems and the signs, etc., and maybe some of the things that we're going to discuss. It's important that if you could just be patient and listen and try to pick out some things that parents that will help you, and youngsters, things that you might be able to, some things that I can share with you that will help you make healthy decisions. And after Mike reads that, he's going to show about I think it's about an 8 or 9 minute video, kind of breaks it up a little bit, and then I'm yours for about, I think, 45 minutes. And at the end of the presentation, I have, I usually do this at schools. I bring some dog tags, and if the kids are, participants are willing to make a pledge, they get a novelty to take with them to help them make healthy choices, and I'll explain that later. So I'm going to step aside. I'll go to the back. I don't really like to watch the video, but thanks for listening, and I'll be back in like 10 minutes. Thank you.
It's entitled, From Tragedy Comes Drug Fight. Most students at the New England Small Circle Jiu-Jitsu Academy know fellow student Chuck Rosa as incredibly strong and imposing, with the grave, kindness, and gentle demeanor of a man who doesn't have to prove anything. What they might not know is the heartbreaking series of events that left this father of 6 to mourn the drug-related deaths of 2 sons. From family and personal tragedy has come Rosa's quiet determination to fight, in his way, against the addictions that take far too many young lives. Charles, a father of 6, will talk to you today about the limits of his own strength, about how it was not enough to save his 2 oldest boys. He will share the story of how Vincent, who died on October 29, 2003, took a fatal dose of morphine from pain medication patches he had cut open and eaten. He will talk about Dominic, who battled a heroin addiction and overdosed a 3rd and final time on November 26, 2004, the day after Thanksgiving. Charles believes his sons would still be around if he had only been better educated about the reality of drugs and their uglier manifestation, addiction. I blame myself, he says. Not a day goes by without the Rosa family being reminded of the loss of their oldest 2 boys. If it's not a birthday, it's a holiday. There is always something, like Father's Day or Mother's Day. It kills me, says Charles. And there are other days when the simple things trip up his family. A few years ago, his younger son Lucas had a school assignment to draw a picture of his family. He couldn't decide how to represent his brothers, Dominic and Vincent. Should he keep them out of the picture or draw them with angel wings?
Tonight on Chronicle.
The water's right around 38 right now, and feels pretty good. It's good for me.
He dives into the ocean every day just to make a point.
Down here at the bay in Hampton, it says it's 15 degrees, and I think it's, I don't know, it says it's -2 or something out. It's very snowy.
Chucky's fight, making waves in the war against drug abuse.
In my own small, quiet way, I feel good that I am making a difference. Sometimes I visualize that it's sunny out and it's nice out, and I walk down and I bless myself and I go in. It mentally does me a world of good. The coldest it was so far this year was, I think, 3 degrees, and the wind chill was -17.
This is a daily routine for Seabrook resident Chucky Rosa.
The water's right around 38 right now, and feels pretty good. It's good for me.
Each morning, he hops in the car for a short ride to the beach.
He'll wait.
No matter what the weather, he comes here to jump in the water, recording the moment as a sort of inspiration.
Hey, good morning. This is Chucky Rosa reporting from Seabrook Beach. It's March 24th. The temperature is 40 degrees, the wind chill is 31, and the water temperature is 38.
If you're wondering why anyone would do this, we did too. Chucky Rosa is a tough-as-nails type of guy with a heart of gold. Known for his jiu-jitsu skills and good Italian cooking, his chili is award-winning. In many ways, the father of 6 is like many dads. But he also has a tragedy that haunts him.
They had a heart as big as this room. They'd do anything for anybody. They're tough kids, you know, but not bullies. They were really good boys.
Chucky's sons, Vincent and Dominic Rosa, were active kids in the community with a struggle that's all too common. As teens, they both started a long battle with drug addiction.
They promised me that they would never try anything else, and unfortunately, it progressed to pills, and my son Dominic died of a overdose his third and final time when he was 21, and Vincent died of it was a fentanyl patch. It's a type of a morphine.
About a year apart, both Vincent and Dominic died from accidental overdoses. Their ashes were later scattered in the ocean near the family home. Sometimes in freezing cold weather, Chucky would jump in just to be closer to them. In fact, his regular swims started to attract attention.
Some other locals said, you know, that's pretty amazing. You should do something with it. And I said, like, what? And
the family wanted others to know their story, so the dangers of drugs wouldn't cause more family tragedies.
We knew that he goes in the water every day. You know, that was one thing. We said, what do you do? He goes in the water every day. Nobody does that. That's different. So that'll get people's attention, and we can film it.
Hey, good morning. This is Chucky Rosa. I'm down here at the Hampton Bay.
And that is exactly what they did.
Hey, good morning. This is Chucky Rosa. It's December 19th. Hey, good morning. This is Chucky Rosa. It's Sunday, December 20th. Down here at the Bay in Hampton. It says it's 15 degrees, and I think it's, I don't know, it says it's -2 or something out. It's very snowy.
Rain or shine or even in snow, starting in January 2009, Chucky started jumping in the ocean every single day, as his wife, Mary.
What's the temperature again?
It's 11 degrees and a -4 chill factor.
Bravely rolls her camera.
It's very windy and it's a cold, cold, icy wind.
The clips are loaded onto a website they call Chucky's Fight for the world to see. Chucky's Fight is a program to educate kids and troubled teens about the dangers of drugs and alcohol, a battle Chucky knows all too well.
Managed to stay clean and sober yesterday. Hope everybody out there that's trying is doing the same.
To help stop the blight of drug abuse, Chucky started raising money with his year-round swims and teaching kids about his story. The reaction was swift. Kids of all ages have written him, saying his story kept them off drugs.
it makes me keep on keeping on, you know, to do the right thing. Because it is a struggle some days, you know, it's a struggle.
That struggle has paid off. Chucky's Fight started reaching more people. Soon youth groups and schools were inviting Chucky to speak.
I have a special group of people with me here today.
Corporate sponsors joined in the ocean jumps to help raise money. Chucky always welcomes people to join him on his daily dunks. But often he is alone with the memories of his sons, Vincent and Dominic.
There is days when it's crazy out there. The wind's going 40 miles an hour and it's below zero. And Mary she'll look at me and she say, "You're going?" And I go, it's almost like I have to, you know.
You may notice while I'm bundled up and freezing just feet away, Chucky feels pretty good after his ocean dip.
This is
now it's
nice. It's not bad out. No goosebumps.
Okay, it's good. It's all good.
In fact, this dad seems to have boundless energy for his cause.
Keep up with them.
Our camera guy, Chris, could barely catch him on the beach. When he's not swimming, Chucky also teaches self-defense classes, which, as he showed me, anyone can do.
I might grab like this.
But his most important hobby is creating a legacy for his two sons, hoping these two words will help those struggling with drug abuse win their own fight.
In my own small, quiet way, I feel good that I am making a difference.
You know, some people might think he's intimidating, but no, he's really sincere, and this is important to him. I mean, it's just something he really wants to get across to people.
The future never gets any brighter when you burn the candle at both ends. So take some time for yourselves and your loved ones, and everything will be there when you get back. Thanks for joining me, and have a good day. It's 19, and the wind chill, I think it's at 11.
Chucky Rosa doesn't hear the roar of the ocean, doesn't care that the icy waters burn his bare skin. This is a moment to cleanse, to remember, and to begin a new day.
You couldn't catch a wave. I can't even believe you did that. I thought for sure that you were just going to maybe go in here, but you do the whole thing.
Every day, yeah.
He does it for his boys, fatally lost in a sea of drugs.
Dominic was heroin, and he started out with marijuana and drinking when he was probably 15, and Vincent was a fentanyl patch. It's like a morphine that they give to cancer patients.
And this is how Chucky deals with the loss and also with his own addiction to drugs and alcohol. Every morning he goes to the sandy beaches of Seabrook where he spread his boys' ashes, looks into a video camera held by his wife Mary, his twin boys by her side, and says this.
Okay, good afternoon. This is Chucky Rosa reporting from Seabrook Beach. I managed to stay clean and sober yesterday. Hope all of you that are trying managed to do the same.
He calls it Chucky's Fight. He has a website where people can make donations every time he jumps in the water, and that money goes to educating teenagers about the poison of drugs, something he wished he had done with his lost boys.
They taught hockey clinics to little kids. They did some jiu-jitsu with me. They were really good boys, very solid people, you know, tough as nails, physically, mentally, and it just tells you about drug addiction, because if it can take them, trust me, it can take anybody. And I miss them, but I know they're here with me in spirit.
You love them.
Yeah, oh yeah, I miss them.
I think it speaks volumes that you, on the coldest days, you throw your body into those frigid, icy waters.
No, it's good for me, and like I said, I hope I can inspire others.
Do you miss them?
Oh yeah, big time. I miss them every day.
So does his wife, their mother.
It's still devastating. You know, every day you wake up and some days you think it was a dream. You still don't even believe that it even happened. But it does happen. That's why we need to let people know.
But what? What do you tell other parents after the death of your kids?
Educate them, because that's, like I said, I think that it starts when they're really, really young. If you can teach a kid not to touch a hot stove, or if they're going to run across the street, they're going to get hit by a car, they teach them that stuff in kindergarten. And I'm not a clinician, but I believe that if you can teach them that, you got to teach them that this stuff is poison. They can never try it, because once you started, you could be in a fight for the rest of your life. This isn't about me or feeling sorry for me, it's about helping you guys. And every question that you could probably think of that you could ask, I don't take anything personal, so please raise your hand, anything I can answer to help you guys, parents or kids or anything. So, who's first? Yes, ma'am.
Were you on drugs when your kids were little?
I was more of a drinker. Yeah.
Do you think genetics has anything to do with it?
I think genetics has something to do with it, but my parents and my grandparents from Italy, there was 9 of us. There was 9 of them, rather, and none of them did any drinking or alcohol, and there's 9 of us in my family, and 8 out of 9 of us have substance abuse issues. So the genetics, I believe, and I want to make it clear, too, a lot of what I have to say is just I have a little bit of an education. I've taken some courses, not like Mike, but it's a lot of what I have to say is personal experience. So I just want to make that clear. I'm not a licensed clinician, but yes, I believe the genetics has something to do with it, but not everything by any stretch. Yes, ma'am.
Chucky, there are a lot of people that would say that as far as education for kids with drug addiction, drug use, it's better to say to them, don't do it, it's not good, and kind of leave it at that, where some people believe that the more information you give them, the more interesting it becomes to them. I personally don't believe that. I was just wondering what you think. Do you think that the more information kids have when they're younger, the better choices they make, or do you subscribe to the just don't do it? And that's
I'm not sure which side you were on. I was trying to listen, but
education.
I'm going to tell you what I think is that. I'll tell you a quick, boring story. I think it's education, because everybody learns different. I can read, but I don't read well. But visually, I think I'm a pretty good learner. The story is this: is that we got told a little bit about drugs and alcohol when we were little. But one day we went up to the Museum of Science in Cambridge when I was a little boy, I think 3rd grade, and there was a thing, and it was a black lung and a pink lung, and a pink lung was a good lung, and a black lung was a bad lung if you smoked. And the short version is that I've never touched a cigarette to this day, because when I used to go down to the park and I used to see, you know, all the big shots, what I thought were big shots, you know, smoking, I'd say, Sully, why are you doing that? It'd be like, shut the F up, Rosa, you know, go on the way, you punk. And I'm saying, yeah, but you're going to get black lung. And I never smoked a cigarette because of that. And I might be an odd duck that happened to have an effect on me, but I drank to excess because I never knew anything really about alcohol. And I'm not blaming the system or anything for it, but I think the more that they know, you know, some people when they read, they get things. Some people hearing a story, it affects them. Visual things. So I think the more you can educate them, I think that's, in my opinion, that's key. And the other thing is, I don't think they can ever be too young. You know, I think I said in the video about maybe a crazy analogy about crossing the street. We teach them that when they're really little, and you got to teach them this stuff is poison, because what we did, I should be dead. I made it, and there's no magic bullet. Some people do, some people don't, and my boys paid the ultimate price. And sometimes young men and women at these workshops will say, well, my neighbor's a big shot at Raytheon, and I know he comes home with a 6-pack of beer every night, and he has a Ferrari, and some people can handle it. And I said, well, and I always tell them I don't want to get into a debate with them about what's right and wrong, but what I always ask them is if you're comfortable enough with your neighbor to ask them, has it ever caused them a problem, either mentally or socially or physically? And there isn't one person on this planet that can say that they use alcohol or drugs that hasn't caused them a problem. It depends what price you're willing to pay. My sons paid the ultimate price. They're dead. Some people might end up in a jail cell. I know people that have killed people drunk driving.
I have a question. Did you notice, I guess I'm looking for what are the warning signs. Did you notice a change in your son's behavior?
Yeah,
or school-wise? I mean,
absolutely. The question is that I noticed a change in my son's behaviors, and absolutely, they were both pretty good hockey players, and their athletics wasn't the same. Their schoolwork, I don't ever think they put a lot of effort into it anyway, but their grades even got worse because they were smart enough kids, they could have done better. The effort got worse, and they almost seemed like they got lethargic and moody. I know during, what do you call, the teen years that they get, their hormones are going wild, whatever, but they got nasty sometimes. They were really good boys, good brothers, good sons, but it wasn't them. Their whole attitude changed. And then what they would do is they would stop as it went on. They would stop for a few months and be good, and then they would try to say, well, I can have a little bit, and every time it spiked, it got worse, and their lows got worse, and it got worse and worse, and they tried to manage something that inevitably managed them. It was like fighting a ghost, in my opinion. They couldn't really quite get a handle on it, and I've struggled with it my whole life also. I stopped for a few years, and I think I'm okay, and your best bet is to really try to teach them abstinence, in my opinion. Some people don't think that's realistic. I do. I know people that haven't tried it, and it's like a blind person. I mean, they don't miss it. They can't see, but they don't miss it because they don't know, you know. But anyway, what else? Yes, sir.
I think it's difficult to talk. I have 3 of my boys, and 2 of them are teenagers, and they're here tonight.
Yes, sir.
And they're great boys. Sometimes they roll their eyes when you try to talk to them about it. I know they're listening. Thank God, I know they're listening. But how do you get through to teenagers today?
I don't have a quality answer to that, sir. And sometimes when
I do these presentations, I get phone calls and people ask a similar question, how do you get through to them? There's no magic bullet, you know, like there's different approaches, like this young lady on the right had asked about education. Throw things at them to read, something might catch their eye, have them watch a documentary. There's DVDs out there about the truth about drugs. They show a guy that was a really good athlete, that had a dream that ruined it because of drugs. How do you get through to them? You know, a lot of times kids don't listen to their parents. I try to train my boys. They want, you know, they're pretty good at wrestling, let's say, and I'm pretty good with what I do, and I'm teaching them. When I teach other people, they're like, "Oh, this is great. That was great." And my boys are yawning. They're looking around. I'm like, you know what? I'm leaving. I'm not even gonna, you know, I end up leaving the room because I want to kill them. I want to cut their heads off by the time I'm even done trying. Seriously. So don't think you're doing anything wrong, sir. You said that they're good boys, and you acknowledge that, and they're gonna, you know, they are listening, but you're their father.
Right.
But I hope I don't know if that's a good answer, but just but keep plugging away. Don't give up. It's a really serious thing. It's no, you know, it happened. It happened twice to me. I almost lost my third son, Charles, and I thank God, knock on wood, that he was able to go to California and to Pennsylvania and get some help after a couple of failed treatments. So I was almost 0 for 3, and I just thank God that you know, I didn't lose another one, because I don't know that I would be able to handle it, you know. But it's very serious. It can happen. I never thought it could. I was a stupid parent. I didn't know about. I thought it was a phase that they were going to go through and it would pass, and it didn't. And that's what I, and I want to tell you too something, is that I'm here as much for myself as I am for everybody else, because some people say, how do you do it? It brings back a lot of feelings of, you know, when I do these things, but I feel like it's a way for me to help salvage something and try to get through to a few people, hopefully. Just, so I don't want you to think I'm some sort of a hero, because I'm not. I struggle every day with it. And I'm not whining either, but that's the truth of the matter. You had your hand up, sir?
Yeah. With all your experience, what would you consider to be the #1 indicator for a parent to look for in their children?
Their behavior. You know your own kids, you know their habits if they get up at a certain time, or pretty much should know when they're kind of telling the truth. When they start lying and manipulating and fabricating, it usually, to me, means they're hiding something, and that's the beginning to me, you know. Yes, sir.
Have you found any barriers preventing your message from coming out?
I didn't hear that good, I'm sorry.
Have you encountered any barriers, any resistance?
No, sir.
To your message getting out?
No, sir, nothing. No, they I go to a lot of high schools and middle schools, and they let me in the elementary schools. The parents are a little bit skeptical with the little kids. They don't think that they need to hear that at that young of an age, but again, I personally disagree. I think the younger, I even had a conversation one time with a panel that I was on, which I probably didn't belong on. These guys were like Harvard people and stuff. They were real professionals, and I felt a little out of place, but it was about prevention at what age, and some of them believed that it was effective and some of them didn't, and some of them thought that it's like brainwashing, and in my opinion, so what if it is brainwashing, in my opinion, but I don't know. Can someone help me pick the people, because I don't know who to pick. You know, I don't know.
Mr. Rosa, could you share with us some strategies that you could give to our young folks here when the occasion presents itself? Some strategies that will help them to be able to walk away, or how to handle themselves so that they don't start down the road.
That's a good question. I tell them to be tough, really, is a lot of times you don't, first of all, don't put yourself, if you can avoid it, put yourself in a situation where there's going to be, bless you, there's going to be drugs and alcohol. And if you find yourself in that situation and somebody comes up and says, hey, you want to smoke a joint or have some of this to drink or have this pill that you don't know what it is, you got to just say that, you know what, I'm all set. And I've gone to a lot of different groups, and girls and guys have told me that they've refused at parties before, and they'll have people come up to them after, and instead of calling them a fag or whatever they might think they're going to be called, they say, I wish I could do that. So, you know, you be yourself and be tough and just say, you know what, I'm not going to do that. That's not who I am. That's what I tell the kids to do. I don't know if that's not a real quality answer. It's just be yourself. Don't be a follower. You don't have to be. You're the one who's outstanding if you're doing what you want to do, not what everybody else wants to do. And I think that's what everybody wants to be, is that person. You can be that person by these issues, in my opinion. I'll pick someone else to lift a few hands up.
Do you think that it was peer pressure that led your two boys to take drugs initially?
Do I think it was peer pressure? No, I don't. I think that a lot of times parents, including myself, we point fingers and I say, you know what, Dominic, Vincent, I don't want you hanging around with these guys. And I'm sure other parents were saying, I don't want you hanging around with Dominic and Vincent. I don't think it was peer pressure. I just think that it was, it's what everybody was doing. I know the first time they were down at a bus stop when they were like 14 or 15, drinking vodka with their fellow hockey players, whatever, and I knew when they come home they weren't right. They got sick, one of them got sick, and the fight was on from there. You know, I don't really think it was peer pressure, but I live with the guilt, but I tell the kids too is that I might not have been a great parent. I think I was a good parent, you know, but the choices they make are their choices. And like I told this gentleman, you just got to, or this young lady, that you just got to be tough, you know. Peer pressure, I mean, it's a good question, but my own personal, no, I don't think so.
How do they get the drugs? I understand alcohol, but how does it work as a young person?
I understand. From what I understand, and the kids open up, they tell me everything, is that I guess it's really easy, sir, to get marijuana and all types of heroin is really easy now. A lot of kids are doing the prescription drugs now. They take the prescription drugs out of their parents' cabinets and they'll sell Xanax and Adderall, and a lot of times they're taking things that they don't even know what they are, mixing them, and a lot of kids are ending up in the emergency room. You don't read about, I think, I train with a couple of paramedics and stuff, and you don't even read about a tenth of what really goes on. It's an epidemic, it really is. You know,
there are so many kids and people in general across our society that are struggling with addictions of all sorts. And with our kids, you know, like you were saying, you gave the instance of a party in which that one person was strong and they were tough, and they said, no, I'm not going to have it. And maybe they hung out in the party for a while and were later told how much they were respected for actually taking the stance. And I guess we all hope that our kid is going to be that strong one that's going to stand up and say, I'm not interested. But it's tough when so many kids are, not just kids, everyone are involved, and it's a lonely existence for those that are not. And you know, I don't know if I'm wrong or not, but I've always said to my kids, if you ever find yourself in that position where you have somebody that comes up to you and says, try this or whatever, hang with our group, just to say to them, I can't hang with your group, I'm really sorry. And maybe someday they could be a mentor to that group, but it's so hard to have those skills at that age when everything is just so, it's developing, it's confidence, it's all these things that are wanting to fit so much into a group and have friends and be loved and accepted. And what do you tell parents to tell kids, just if you know the kid's using this, or this group is using, just stay away from it. Just, you know, or how do you steer them away from that?
I think you just said everything, really. No, really, I'm serious. Is it, you know, God made us social, we're social animals. You know, we want to be, like you said, fit in, and we want to be part of it. And a lot of kids, that's the thing to do nowadays. It used to be, when I was younger, it was a small group that wasn't. I'm sorry, a small group that was. We used to call them the rats. They hung around in the black leather jacket, but that was years ago. And maybe 1 out of 5 or 6 kids was doing alcohol or drugs, and they were the bad kids. And I'm just throwing numbers out there. Now it's almost reversed. Now you're the odd duck if you're not doing it, and it's really hard. I have kids literally come up to me crying just last week and said, Charles, I asked my friends if they wanted I used your suggestion about going bowling or going to movies, and they told me to go F myself. We're going to go spend our money on marijuana. I got no friends. I'm at this high school, and I don't know what to do. And I've got this kid coming, you know, he does yoga, whatever. I'm trying to teach him some replacement activities. We happen to live up in Seabrook on one of the nicest coasts in the whole world. So I say, you know, go to the beach. You know, cooking is another replacement activity, but you can't, there's an old cliche about if you go to a barber shop, eventually you get a haircut. The point I'm making is that if the kids are around that, eventually probably they're going to do the wrong thing. So I agree with what you said about if you know they're going to be with that group, you could probably tell them, you know what, just don't do that. And I have a niece that had a really hard time making a transition into college. She's a really good dancer, and again, she was really having a hard time because she goes, Uncle Chucky, everybody is doing this, what do I do? And she was really upset. She's really smart. And I told her, I says, listen, you know, I don't know what to do. I said, but just eventually if you keep trying to do the right thing, the right people will find you. And thank God that the right things have happened for her. And but it is hard when they're that age. And that's why the problem is now with the drugs being so much more powerful, they try it and it hooks you, it grabs you. It's like my boys used to say, Papa, don't worry, I'll never try anything else. And it's really scary. You know, not that what I did or what any of us might have done when we were little was okay or younger, but it's far more dangerous now. And in my opinion, I think what Mike had said about teaching it in schools is actually part of the curriculum prevention. You know, maybe not every day, but a few times a week, because you have to really, I think, drill it into their heads. But I'm getting off your question, but that's it. But you have everything you said makes, you know, perfect sense. And there's no magic bullet, there's no magical wand or anything like that. It's unfortunately, I feel like a klutz sometimes when people ask me, because there's no real quality answer. You know, one of the guys asked what the signs are and stuff. Just go with your gut. You know your kids, and you know, you can't micromanage everything, but let them pay consequences. Set up guidelines. If they do something wrong, they get, you know, consequences. Stick with the consequences, and just things they tell you about being a parent. You know, I don't know. Thanks. Yes, ma'am.
From the pictures, it looks like your younger kids, there was like maybe a significant age between them.
Yeah.
With your younger kids, do you find that you're much more do you find that you're much more particular about where they go, what they do? Do you ask more questions?
I'm not laughing at you, but no. I have to answer, I'm going to answer everything honestly. I should be like that, but these two, the younger ones, they're 14, I don't know, they're 14 or 15-year-old twins. They're almost too good. It's unbelievable, and I think probably because of what they've seen, I don't worry about anything with them. They don't. I don't even know how to say it. It sounds corny, but they don't do anything wrong. Sometimes they say, let's go light a fire, let's go light some fireworks, let's go shoot some guns and do something. It's like they don't want to, don't do anything wrong. They're good students, they're really good boys, they're but I know what you're saying, but I think that they've seen enough. They lost their heroes.
they watch their heroes get buried, you know, and a good question, but probably not the answer you were looking for, but it's the truth.
Renee?
I just want to touch on that a little bit because when I have a brother that's 3 years older than me. So when I was 12, he was 15. And at 15, he started doing cocaine and marijuana and drinking. And through me watching all his struggles and living it, it was a nightmare. I never could touch a drug. Could never, just from personally living it. So I think the more that these kids know is the better. I'm all for it. And I think personal experience, I'll always tell them, look at Uncle Frankie, you know, look what happened. This is his life, you know what I mean? I mean, he's living a constant struggle every day. And this has been since he was 15. And so, I mean, I really think it's a good thing that you're reaching out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good. Yes, ma'am.
Do you, I heard that you were from Peabody originally?
I was from Cambridge and Arlington. I lived in Peabody for like 20 years, I think.
Did you move out of the environment that they were in to a different environment?
Well, what I tried to do is
move away from it?
I tried to get, when I ran a factory most of my life, and I had a summer home back when I had some money. And when my third son was getting involved in it, Charles, I thought that I was going to escape up to New Hampshire. I mean, what could be happening in Seabrook, you know? And the short version of this is he made a lacrosse team or something. He got invited to a party, and so I left the rest of my family in Peabody. I went up to Seabrook to get him through high school. He got invited to a party, and I said, you know the rules. I knew everything that he was doing, from when he got up to what he ate. That was my job, to get him through high school, to try to get him over his addiction that he was developing. And I think what you were asking me was I was trying to escape, and they really, yeah, I was trying to pull him away, and I tried to pull him away, and it really didn't work.
So what was the final outcome? Obviously he's doing well now.
Yeah, the final outcome was I remember one day he came home and there was bullet holes in his car, and he told me that, I said, what's this, you know, and he said, oh, I thought someone was throwing firecrackers at me. And I said, you know what, you got to get some help. I ended up sectioning him to Bridgewater. It's a kind of a process you go through if somebody is a danger to themselves, and got him into Bridgewater twice. That didn't really work, and then he ended up getting some treatment finally, and it finally clicked with him. That it wasn't just the drugs, it was his whole behavior. He had to work on other things. It's kind of a little bit complicated. I don't pretend to know more than I know, but they gave him the education to get him better. Warehousing him in jails and locking him up doesn't really do anything. And unfortunately, piggyback on that a little bit, is that unfortunately he got some of the best treatment money could buy, and I feel like that because of the quality of the treatment, which costed a lot of money, I believe that's why he's better. It's part of the reason. He'll be the first one to tell you, and I feel bad that most people don't have the money to get that treatment. That's why the prevention, I think, is really important. So if you ever get a chance to vote on something, I guess, to put it into the schools a couple of days a week, some sort of a curriculum, I think if you hear something enough times, you're going to buy into it. Maybe we could turn it around back to the way it was, where the majority of the kids are not using, because I think that right now we really have a serious problem. Yes, ma'am?
In your opinion, when you are talking to your children about this, is it more or less effective to relate your own personal experiences? Do you feel that, like, I tried drinking when I was young, does that give them permission to do it? Like, well, you did it, so I can do it? Or
I think that's not a good, in my opinion, it's not a good thing, because exactly what you said is it's kind of like almost giving them a blessing to do it, but in the same breath, I don't want to screw your head on and off here, I don't lie, it's not a good thing to lie. If they ask you, did you do it, and you say, yeah, all right, whatever you did, but it's, a lot of parents do that, you know, they say, well, I did this, and then the kid said, well, you did it, why can't I do it? And when things happen, it gets ugly because they try to throw it back at you. But I have what I do at the end of the presentations is the youngsters or the participants. I ask them if they're willing to make a pledge to themselves and to their schoolmates or the people that are around them, their families. And it's called symbolism, and what I do is I give them, if they want one, and you guys will raise your hands in a minute hopefully, it's just a dog tag, and all it is if you get put in a situation where someone asks you to use drugs or alcohol, you can wear it, you can put it in your pocket, you can keep it in your desk at home, somewhere where you know where it is, just somewhere where you can make a connection to say, you know what, let me think about my uncle that had a problem, or think about what maybe a teacher has told you, or maybe even something from my presentation that might help you make a healthy choice. And so I ask the kids if they're willing to make that commitment. They raise their hands, and I go out and I go around and I give them a dog tag. And I've had some kids that will come up to me and thank me for coming in, and they'll say, I'm just not ready right now, but thanks for coming in. So, and it's helped some people. So if there's anybody here, youngsters that want a dog tag, and I even brought a bunch of shirts, why don't you come on up, and I'd like to give them out to you real quick. And if even the parents have somebody they want to give a dog tag to and explain to them what it means, there's plenty up here. So thank you for having me.
I just want to let everybody know, this is my parents' first time coming out and speaking with you. I've been doing Hope Through Experience, like I said, since 2006. I've yet to ask them to come and do this. I think it's very important that everybody here, just everybody really, more than the people here, but everybody understands that if it can happen to Mr. Rose's kids, if it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody.
My name is Sandra Tanner, and Michael's my son, who is a survivor from opiate addiction. First of all, I just want you to know how proud I am of my son. The first 5 steps when a parent goes through this, in my opinion, is denial, shame, you get desperate, then you get numb, which is dangerous. You're always waiting for the other shoe to fall. All I can say is, to explain it is, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Your child is your whole world. And and I think the biggest thing with me was when it happened to Michael, I couldn't believe that he even chose to even do drugs. And he's right, there's not enough education out there. We do tell our kids not to use drugs, but okay, I fell on deaf ears because there was nothing there to say, Michael, look it, this is what could happen to you. So education is number one. We need to put things in places in schools, do pilot programs where, like you said, before you graduate, you have to graduate from this program. I mean, we do have to do more. I'm going to make it kind of short. I remember with my son's addiction, I never wanted to go near a meal box. I didn't want to open my own meal. I dreaded every time the meal came. I remember my son saying, towards the middle of his addiction, I can't even talk, that he just wanted to feel normal again, because it gets to the point where they realize it's got them, and they just have to get the drugs so they can feel normal and get up and take a shot. And it breaks your heart because you can't help them. They can only help themselves. And the big number one, God forbid, none of us ever have to go through it. Never enable them. And I don't care what they say to you, what they do, never give them money. If, you know, you cannot have them around your family. You know, it's a sickness that makes everybody else sick. And the only way they can get better is by you doing the tough love, and they don't call it tough love for nothing. And I just want to end it up with, what is it? I stand here as a survivor, and I am so proud of my son. I love you, Michael, and by the grace of God go I, and when we coming back, thank you, God.
Now I'm here to tell you that it's not all doom and gloom. Here's the proof right there. You never give up. Never. All of the times that I opened up bills and found the money that my son was spending for me, how many times he was arrested, how many times I had to go to different courts with him. Never gave up hope. Because I knew one day he'd either be dead or he'd be sitting there. And here he is, right here. It's amazing that in 2004 I had 3 life-changing events. Michael's addiction was one. I applied to the Archdiocese for annulment, and I was diagnosed with cancer. And when Chuck was speaking about fentanyl, that's one of the drugs I was on during cancer treatment, and OxyContin, and Ativan, and a few other in there. So here was this character going through it for fun, and I was going through it for my life. I got the annulment, cancer-free since 2004, and we have a miracle. It's pretty tough when you have to go down to East Boston Court and swear out a restraining order against your own child, or have your child arrested. I hope to God no one sitting here has to go through it, because it is all-consuming. My poor wife couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't do anything. She was so consumed by it. But here we are, and I need to digress just a bit. 1955, I was standing on this floor, on that stage, and I was a leprechaun. In the St. Patrick's Day. Wait, you still do St. Patrick's? No. But please, understand, everything works out if you work at it. It's tough. It's really tough. You can't imagine. Well, I'll tell you, one of the good things, when he was in jail, we were more comfortable because we knew where he was. He couldn't get drugs, so we could sleep a little. But through his own courage and hard work, and this is one of the strongest guys around, because he was down. I remember going to Mass General with him one night to talk to a psychiatrist, and the woman asked him what drugs he had taken. It was like a dictionary, including mushrooms, something I hadn't heard up to that time. But please, there is always God and always a chance. Don't give up. Thank you.
Anything can come out of this tonight. What I would like is to just spread the word. Talk about it. Talk about it with your kids. You know, be in your kids' lives. Let them know that you're there and you're watching and that they can talk to you. And there are tons of places to go for help. You know, it got brought up earlier, what's the earliest age? How can you educate them? And just like Mr. Chucky Rosa said, you got to keep pounding it into their heads. And if you don't want to, and if you think, trust me, somebody else is going to educate your kids if you don't. And it's going to be the drug dealers. It's going to be the kids doing the drugs. You know, so if you don't step up and do what's necessary, then, you know, that's all my parents have to say. It's not pretty. So I thank everybody for coming and listening.